Oh boy, folks, we've been talking about this since last October because the passage of Hurricane Beryl in October left a significant mark on the island. The storm severely disrupted essential services such as electricity, water, and telecoms. This morning, we're joined by Director General of the Office of Utilities Regulation. You normally hear OUR, Mr. Ansord E. Hewitt, and he'll give us an update on the progress of restoration efforts. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Smile.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Good morning, Simone.
Hi there.
Before we get specific, what's the overall role of the OUR?
Well, you know, we say that the OUR is a multi-sector regulator, which means that we look at economic regulation across the electricity sector, the water and sewage sector, and the telecommunication sector. Although these days people talk about ICT rather than telecommunications.
When you say you look at them, what does that mean when you say you look?
Okay, so essentially what we're seeking to do is to make sure that, especially where markets are not competitive, that you pay no more for your utilities than the economic costs, including, of course, the rate of return to the provider. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is to make sure that you get good quality of service. Ultimately, the customers are concerned that if they flick the light switch, you should get light.
Correct.
Turn the tap, you should get water. And when you take up the phone, you don't talk about dial tone anymore, you talk about being online.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard somebody the other day call into a talk show and say, you know, they're so pleased with the work of the OUR because once upon a time things used to take long, and now as you call them, they're looking into situations. So I just wanted to pass that on.
Okay.
I know public perception has been tough in recent years, but you guys are doing significant work across so many different areas. It cannot be easy, Sir Ansord.
And thanks for passing that on. And I certainly will pass it on to the team because they really do a good job. Yes, it's quite a task, but we are committed to it. And ultimately, we enjoy what we do.
Yeah. How are we doing across the sectors that you mentioned post-Melissa? We took a serious hit in most all of them. I think with electricity, we're doing a lot better. But you can give us the official updates across the sectors.
So, you know, and I took the tour, like many Jamaicans. But I took the tour with a view to looking at the utility sector infrastructure. And to tell you the truth, I was a little bit almost in despair in terms of saying, when are we going to get this restoration done? Today, I'm heartened that less than 5,000 customers in the electricity sector are still without service.
Less than 5,000?
Less than 5. And I say this conscious of the fact that if you have been without electricity from October to now, it is a dreadful situation for you. So we can't discount. You know, it is not to say it's less than 5,000 is not to diminish at all the fact that people are still without that basic necessity. In the telecommunication sector, ICT, we have we're well over 90% in terms of the restoration of sites and so on for the mobile facilities. The fixed infrastructure is a little below that, so that is the sector that is still, you know, a lot of work to be done in that sector. Part of it is that, you know, some of the fixed infrastructure and in fact the mobile infrastructure lag the electricity because they depend on the electricity supplies to provide service. The NWC has been remarkable in terms of its restoration, I must say. And, you know, I usually tell people that the NWC is the bane of my existence as a regulator.
What? Sir, answer.
But no, they have done quite a job in mobilizing and getting back the service to customers. I spoke to the acting president just after the hurricane, and he was literally camped out in Montego Bay, you know, trying to get back the Great River supplies and so on. So I've been impressed with the way the utilities have mobilized, and I'm also impressed by the way they have sought to cooperate, which is something that we emphasize to them coming out of Beryl.
Yeah.
You've already told us what you do, sir, but even outside of the hurricane, what if I'm not getting what I should be getting from one of these entities that you mentioned? Then what? I call you and I say, well, maybe not you personally, but I call you, oh, you are, and maybe I'll get you. And I say, well, Mr. Hewitt, you know.
And that happens quite often.
Yeah. So what do you do? What's the next move if I am not getting, and you can prove that I'm genuinely not getting what I ought to be getting at the time I call? What's the next move?
Right. So that's and you've kind of gone to the root of it, because the first thing we would check is that you have in fact you've brought the matter to the attention of the supplier to say, look, and that they have failed to provide you with the redress. In that event, we treat that as an appeal. Our Consumer and Public Affairs Division will take that on and we'll contact the company, we'll find out, get their side, because you have to hear the other side and find out. And we will insist that if it's a contractual matter, that it is, you know, that they rectify the situation. You know, sometimes it takes a little back and forthing. Sometimes they're technical issues. Sometimes we have to do an investigation. We may have to send out one of our technical people to look at the thing and so on. But we insist that you should get the service that you are paying for and that they have contracted to provide you with.
I just want to go back to the NWC. I'm being told by my producers in Westmoreland, they said 92%. In Westmoreland. I think that's the map right there that they're showing us.
Yes, and that's remarkable for them.
Yeah. So we congratulate them. But as you rightly said, even if it's one single person who would not have had water or light since October 28, that's devastating for them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But as far as the OUR is concerned, would you say we are ahead of where you thought we would be at the end of Q1 2026 in terms of restoration?
I think so. I mean, you know, JPS initially was talking about June into July. So I think we're definitely ahead of where we anticipated that we would have been, given the devastation that took place.
Right. Sorry, JPS in Westmoreland said 86%.
Right, that's Westmoreland, and you know, we're talking about there are just two parishes that still have persons without electricity, which would have been St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland.
Why, by the way? Why?
Because again, that was the center of the. You remember that the hurricane came ashore at New Hope in Westmoreland, and it just destroyed the transmission system, the distribution system. So there has to be a lot of rebuilding of the transmission system. And sometimes, you know, people, in the earlier months, people didn't see JPS in their communities, and they were saying, well, we only lost a few poles. But first you have to put back the transmission system together so that you could actually transport the electricity before you can actually get to their communities.
Someone might say that happened October 28. Why almost March 28 it's still not up yet?
Right. And yeah, and it would be a fair question. You know, one of the things we looked at in all of this, just for context and to help to manage expectation, is what has happened in some other places, you know. I mean, in Puerto Rico, it took a year, you know.
After Maria, was it Maria?
Right.
Yes.
And then in places in large countries like in the US and Texas and so, months after a disaster of this proportion, people are still trying to get back onto the grid.
We don't forget Katrina.
Yes.
Right, which was us. So to what do you attribute this, I don't want to say record, but ahead of time restoration across the entities? Is it the resilience we speak of? Is it the collaboration that you mentioned?
I think it's a number of things. Yeah. One is that, you know, I guess in some ways, Beryl had some effect in terms of preparing us for this. And you will remember that there was a lot of angst immediately after Beryl about the pace of restoration, the communication, all of those things. I think we learned lessons from that. The utilities did a lot more pre-planning. And last year, we have a yearly event called the Director General, just last name, most of the event slipped me at the moment. But we do have this forum every year. And last year, we gathered in Kingston, and we had the utilities actually talk about the experiences that they had coming out of Beryl and the lessons they've learned.
Final questions from me, sir. As you said, lessons learned. Going forward, we learned lessons from this one also, going forward. And do you, as the OUR, say, well, you can't build this way, you have to do that? Do you get involved in that at all?
Oh, absolutely. So again, coming out of Beryl, we saw that the infrastructure that was rebuilt after Beryl stood up a little better to Melissa. We also found that the JPS, for example, has indicated in Melissa that they are taking the opportunity to make sure that all their poles are now at a consistent depth.
Okay.
And, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Good work, sir, and thanks for coming this morning.
Oh, you're welcome.
Director General of the Office of Utilities Regulation, Mr. Ansord Hewitt.
Sideline visa woes. What's that about? Tell you on the other side. Soon come.